Picture a freezing night in Alaska, the wind howling like a hungry wolf when a wild bear breaches a military base, not to attack, but to beg for help. Sounds crazy, right? But it was trust and decision-making under pressure that turned this risk into a miracle. At Fort Greely, Lieutenant Parker and his team faced a brave mother who bet everything on humans to save her cubs, proving strategy and planning can beat even the impossible. Want to know how it all unfolded? On a frigid night, at Fort Greely, the silence of the military base was shattered by the sound of branches snapping under heavy paws. A bear breached the fence, her fur dusted with snow, and bowed before the soldiers like she was pleading. A risk no one there, trained in risk management, knew how to gauge. "Is she begging?" Jenkins asked, stunned. What did she want? From humans? The wind howled, carrying the damp scent of her fur, as the soldiers gripped their flashlights with shaky hands. Lieutenant Parker, a pro at decision-making under pressure, felt the weight of those dark, pleading eyes, almost human. "Something's wrong," he muttered, intrigued. What if it was more than instinct? The bear stood still, letting out a low moan that echoed through the snow, a sound that tugged at everyone's chest. Parker, with his leadership and team management, chose to watch before acting, ignoring the radio crackling with orders. That was sharp instinct, and he knew it was worth listening to. But what came next? Parker and his team stood frozen, jaws dropped, as the wind sliced through the silence, while the bear held her submissive stance. "Bears don't do this," Jenkins exclaimed, almost laughing. But the absurdity demanded strategy and planning to figure out. "She's asking for something," Parker said, firm. What drove her to them? The scent of icy pine mixed with the bear's warm breath, and Parker tapped into the inner strength forged by years in the Army. He wasn't backing down. "Let's keep an eye on her," he decided, unsure of the risk's size. It was a live risk management test. But how could they crack this plea? The bear moaned softly again, a chilling sound, and the soldiers swapped glances, flashlights trembling. In their hands, decision-making under pressure weighed heavy, but Parker knew ignoring it wasn't an option. There was a vision of the future here, something bigger. "There's more to this," he thought. What if she was showing the way? Next. "Morning." The soldiers rushed to the control room, the smell of stale coffee in the air to check the security footage. The images showed the bear circling the base for hours before breaking in, a glint in her eyes screaming sharp instinct. "She planned this," Jenkins said, amazed. Were bears that smart? The video caught her pausing, watching, retreating. A plan full of strategy and planning, not just desperation. The wind's whistle on the tapes blended with her recorded growls, loops that sent shivers down spines. "It's not just instinct," Parker murmured. But what was she trying to show? Each frame revealed her essential care, a mother who wouldn't give up on her cubs, even if it meant humans. The team fell silent, the weight of the discovery settling like fresh snow. "She wants us to follow," Parker said, already sensing. The next step, what if it was urgent? Parker rallied the team at dawn, the icy air smelling of pine and metal, and said, "She's a mom, asking for help with her cubs." His leadership and team management shone, even knowing that following her was pure risk management. "We're going," he decided, steady. But how far would she lead them? The bear waited in the snow, as if she knew their combined effort would be the reward of effort she sought. The sound of zipping backpacks cut the silence, and they set off into Alaska's wilderness. "This is nuts," Jenkins chuckled, but her eyes pulled them forward. Did she really trust them? They marched on, boots crunching snow as Parker weighed. A vision of the future. Save the cubs or face the brass later. The bear led ahead, resolute like a guide who took no doubts. Something big awaited, you could feel it. But what did she know they didn't? The bear led through snowy terrain that swallowed every step. The sound of boots sinking mixed with the biting wind. The cold stung, but the soldiers' inner strength held firm, even as the risk grew with each meter. She's been here before, Parker noted, spotting old tracks. How far had she gone alone? The path was ice and rock, the damp earth scent rising when the bear paused to check on them. Decision-making under pressure hung over every turn, but she moved with sharp instinct. No one questioned. "This mom's stubborn," Jenkins said, awed. What had she faced before? With each step, it was clear she'd traced this route multiple times, a combined effort of nature to save her cubs. Snow fell harder, the air burning their lungs, and the soldiers felt the mission's weight. "It's close," Parker whispered, seeing her speed up. What lay at the end? The bear stopped at an old well, the smell of rust and wet earth rising from a dark hole in the snow. Down below, 2 cubs whimpered, trapped in an abandoned mining shaft, and the soldiers felt her essential care hit hard. She tried everything. "Before us," Parker said, stunned. How had she held on? The cubs, frail and dirty, barely moved, their cries echoing off cold stone walls. The bear's sharp instinct brought her to humans as a last resort, a strategy and planning almost brilliant. "Poor things, they're done in," Jenkins murmured, itching to help. But where to start? Parker eyed the team, his leadership and team management kicking in as the bear stared, trusting. The well was deep, dangerous, but those eyes begged. For a reward of effort no one could refuse. "We're getting them out," he decided, feeling the stakes. Would they make it in time? The team scrambled, the sound of ropes unrolling slicing the icy air as the bear watched, calm. A harness dropped, and the first cub came up, shivering but alive. A reward of effort worth every bit. "One down," Jenkins joked, but the second was worse off. Could they save both? The second cub barely stirred, soaked fur clinging to its tiny frame, the damp earth smell rising with it. Decision-making under pressure pressed on Parker, who knew the cold could take it any second. "He's too weak," he said, heart sinking. What if the plan failed? The bear let out a low rumble, almost encouragement, as the soldiers pulled hard, snow falling around. Their inner strength held the mission together, but the cub didn't move. "We need more," Parker muttered, eyeing the next risk. "Who'd go down to help?" Sergeant Miller stepped up, wind whistling as he tied the rope, the scent of snow and fear in the air. Dropping into the shaky well was pure risk management. But the cub below, nearly lifeless, demanded decision-making under pressure. "I'm going," he said, steady. Would the well hold? The cold cut deep as he descended, loose rocks rumbling in the dark, damp walls. Parker's leadership and team management guided from above, shouts muffled by wind. "Almost there, Miller," Jenkins yelled, rooting. But what if time ran out? The cub was ice cold, a limp bundle barely breathing, and Miller clutched it with shaky hands. His inner strength kept him steady, even as the well quaked. "Pull now!" he roared, feeling the ground give. Would they escape by a hair? Miller held the cub as the rope rose, the sound of rocks collapsing filling the well like muffled thunder. The scent of earth and ice climbed with him, and the reward of effort from that descent paid off every second. "Pull fast," Parker shouted, heart racing. Would they make it? The well caved just behind, a boom tossing snow and dust into the air, nearly swallowing Miller and the cub. The team's decision-making under pressure held tight, yanking hard, as the bear groaned, sensing the danger. "By a thread," Jenkins laughed, relieved. But was the cub still in trouble? Up top, Miller hit the snow, cub in arms, both coated in frozen dirt, the air thick with tension. Their combined effort, some pulled, some prayed, worked, and it still breathed. Alive but weak, Miller panted. Now how to save that tiny spark? The soldiers rushed to the cub, wind carrying snow and adrenaline as they ripped open emergency kits. It shivered, fur iced to its small body, and risk management was clear. No heat, no chance past the next hour. "Let's warm him," Parker said, grabbing blankets. Could they bring it back? Jenkins rigged a hot water pouch, the sound of hands rubbing the cub echoing in the tense quiet. The team's sharp instinct turned basic supplies into a reward of effort to save a life. The bear watched, calm, almost trusting. Would it respond? Slowly, the cub's eyes flickered open, a faint whimper cutting the icy air, and the soldiers breathed easy. Their inner strength pulled through, warmth seeping back into its body under the mother's anxious gaze. "He's coming back," Miller grinned. What now for the trio? The bear stood there, wind ruffling her fur as the soldiers tended her. Cubs, the damp earth scent lingering. She didn't growl, just watched with a calm that screamed essential care, as if she knew her little ones were safe. "She trusts us," Jenkins said, amazed. How was she so sure? The cubs, now warm, stirred slowly, soft growls filling the chilly afternoon silence. Parker's leadership and team management kept it all on track, but the bear set the tone, almost partner. "That's a mom thing," Miller chuckled. What did she see in them? Parker paused to meet her gaze, her dark eyes locking with his in quiet understanding. Her combined effort with the humans paid off, and she'd known it from the start. "She bet on us," he murmured, awed. What would come after this? For 3 days, the soldiers camped out, the smell of smoke and pine in the air as they nursed, the cubs with makeshift milk. Their inner strength turned the base into a temp home, and the bear circled calmly, confident. "They're getting strong," Jenkins smiled, watching them play. Would they leave soon? The cubs tumbled in the snow, their sounds blending with the fire's crackle, and the team felt the reward of effort in those lively eyes. Parker's leadership and team management kept everyone sharp, but the bear called the shots, checking her babies tenderly. "She's ready," Miller noted. "How do you say goodbye?" That last morning, the bear stopped and stared at Parker, a long look that spoke volumes, wind whispering between them. It was a silent decision-making under pressure. She knew it was time, and so did he. "Thanks, big girl," he murmured, feeling the void. What lingered from this? Back at base, the radio buzzed as Parker reported it all. The strong coffee, scent marking the end of the ride. Command reworked rescue protocols with strategy and planning to keep other animals safe from trouble. It was for her, he said, thinking of the bear. Had they really changed things? Weeks later, patrolling the woods, the icy wind carried pine as they spotted a bear with 2 cubs romping. Risk management paid off, and vision of the future bore fruit. They were healthy, free. "That's her for sure," Jenkins laughed, pointing. Would she recognize them? The memory stuck, a lesson in essential care beyond the base. Protect what matters, human or wild. Parker smiled, feeling that brave mom's impact echo deeper. Nature teaches, he thought. What else might come next? In the end, the bear and her cubs returned to the wild, leaving a grateful rumble and a changed crew behind. The soldier's inner strength and that mother's trust proved unlikely bonds bring reward of effort no one sees coming. Sometimes, an animal shows what's worth fighting for. Looking back, Parker and his team learned risk management isn't just rules, but heart, the kind beating in humans and beasts alike. That bear didn't just save her cubs. She revived their faith in life with one bold move. Makes you want to ponder it over coffee, doesn't it? What about you? Ever had a moment like that with an animal? A story that hit you, made you risk? It all for a look or a bark? Share it in the comments. Your tales with these amazing creatures deserve to be heard. Who knows what else nature's got to teach?